Good morning, everyone. Madam Administrator.
Good morning.
Okay, we're live.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to call to order the Judiciary Committee organizational meeting for the 2021 legislative session. I want to welcome everyone to the committee. I know we have a number of returning members, and we also have new members onto the committee who we look forward to getting to know and working with as the session goes on. I want to certainly welcome back our my co-chair, Senator Winfield, and Senate ranking member, Senator Kissel. Also want to welcome our new House ranking member, Representative Fishbein, and certainly thank Representative Rabimbis for her years of dedicated leadership to this committee as House ranking member. We're certainly glad to have her continuing along, although in a different role on this committee. I also want to, of course, welcome back our committee administrator, Deb Blanchard, and our clerk, Zoe Gluck, who have been working tremendously hard and trying to adapt to this new committee process we're all going to hopefully get familiar with as the session goes on here. With that, I want to turn it over to Senator Winfield.
Thank you, Representative Stastrom, and I want to echo the comments of my co-chair. Welcome to everyone, all of those who were returning, the new members. This committee is an exciting committee. A lot of work gets done here. It will be a good experience for you. Thank you to those who've been putting in a lot of work to get us to this moment, the staff of the committee and the LCOs who have all that work that's coming their way. I just want to take a moment to address something I think is important about the way that we conduct ourselves. I don't want to get into any specifics of any situation, but I do want to say that we as a committee find ourselves dealing with some very, very heavy subjects. And this moment that we find ourselves in, we have to remember to comport ourselves in certain ways. And that the things that we say can have real impact on not just the people who are anticipating us passing a bill, but those who are sitting around with us debating these issues. It's important that we think about where we are, despite our policy differences, that we make sure that things that should not be said are addressed as fast as possible, because it is real in the lives of many of us. And some of you know that I've had some experiences myself with some of these things where even your life can be at hand. So I just would implore you, passions will be raised, issues will become issues you're intimately wrestling with. Just make sure that, particularly right now, that we are ever vigilant to make sure that we are leading in every moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Winfield, and certainly I want to echo and associate myself with those remarks. I know there, as is often the case, there will be a number of issues which come through this committee, the vast majority, which I'm sure there will be bipartisan support for, and we will continue to work in as bipartisan a manner to tackle some of the weightiest issues the state faces through this committee. But undoubtedly, there will be other issues that might be a little more contentious. And I hope that as the session moves on, we continue to operate in a collegial manner and have debates on policy and stick to that. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Senator Kissel for any introductory remarks he may have.
Sure, I'm happy to chime in, and hopefully you guys can all hear me, right? Yes, no. Can you guys all hear me?
We hear you.
Yes.
All right. So first of all, I also want to chime in and say thank you to Rosa Rubimbis for all her years of service. She and I worked very closely on general law and the Judiciary Committee, and she was really a pragmatist and worked really hard to bridge differences between Republicans and Democrats. And as much as I am looking forward to working with Craig Fishbein, who has already reached out to me, I'm going to miss Rosa as the ranking member on this committee. That's just my heartfelt feelings. I'm really happy to see Gary and Stephen as co-chairs once again. I think we've all worked really well together. I agree with all their sentiments. This committee tackles really hard things. We've been on this committee where we have been listening to hearings till after midnight. I'm hoping that's not today, but there's going to be those days are going to be coming, whether it's like Zoom or not Zoom. Those days are coming. But we have, I've been lucky enough. I got to be honest. I'm going into my 15th term. All right, I've been lucky. I'm the longest serving Republican senator sitting right now. And I've been lucky enough to be on this committee for 26 out of my last 28 years. And I was one of the tri-chairs with Paul Doyle and William Tong. And that was an interesting time as well. We tackle difficult issues. And I just want to remind everybody on the committee, both returning members and new members, because of the COVID and the sort of lockdown that occurred in March, there's been this pent up energy for moving legislation. And that's got to get its way through this year, whether it's because of lobbyists, whether it's because of activist groups, whether it's because of initiatives. How it all ends up, I don't know, but we're going to have our work cut out for us. This is like when Marty Looney comes before us, he goes, he loves this committee more than any other committee. And I understand why. That's why I keep signing up to do this job, because we tackle really difficult issues. It's not like appropriations where it's like one bundle of money. It's not like finance where it's one bundle of taxes or revenue or whatever. Not that I'm disparaging those committees, and I was on appropriations for 4 years, and but we have nuanced issues, and they hit certain chords with certain people, and they're going to affect people's lives immediately. I've got some issues. Gary and I probably aren't going to agree on like kids like taking joyrides in cars, but I've got police chiefs just like hammering me about the increase in like car thefts and things like that. So, but then at the other hand, do I believe in second chance society? Yeah, I always have. But it's one thing to have a second chance society, but you don't have the constructs underneath to support that. So I think, whatever we do, we need to be thoughtful. The last thing that I'll say, and I know I'm going on, is that we have a tradition, and having been on this committee for 26 years, we don't call the question, we don't shout each other out, we let everybody talk. Try not to come into the meetings too late and start asking the same questions somebody asked, because now you're just making us all work that much longer. But it's a very respectful committee. And I think we have a great tradition on this committee. And that's why I'm so tremendously honored to work with Representative Stephen Staffstrom and Senator Gary Winfield as co-chairs, Representative Craig Fishbein as my new ranking House member, and whomever the vice chairs are, and everyone on this committee. This is a tremendous honor that we have been given by the people of the state of Connecticut. Thank you. Sorry, that's it.
Thank you, Senator Kissel. Appreciate it. I would be remiss, obviously, if I didn't recognize our returning vice chairs on this committee, Senator Blumenthal in the House and Senator Kasser in the Senate. We thank them for their service last term and look forward to them continuing along with us as well. With that, I'd like to open it up to our new House ranking member, Representative Fishbein.
Good morning, everyone. You know, one of the benefits of going last is a lot of things that have already been said. I don't have to get hoarse repeating. So I look forward to working together with everyone during this session. And, you know, our team, our leadership team, we've spoken a few times, and I look forward to having those future discussions and working together for the betterment of the state of Connecticut. And while it was mentioned, we do a lot of difficult issues before this committee. They're also, I think every one of them is of interest to me. So while I've been on a bunch of different committees since I've been in the legislature, I think this is my only repeat, and because I find all of the topics to be interesting. So once again, welcome everyone, and I look forward to a very fruitful and debate-laden session. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Representative. With that, I'd like to just turn briefly to the outlook for the session. We are trying to keep this to under half an hour as we do have a public hearing started. But I just want to mention that obviously there will be a number of significant pieces of legislation as we discussed. And we also unfortunately anticipate that our committee process could be a little more slower or disjointed than what we would prefer or like, given that most of our activities will be remote and we're all adapting to the technology. As always happens in this committee, we get far more concepts or proposed bills than we're able to take up. I believe last term and the term before, it's only about 30% of the bills that we actually get, or concepts that actually get proposed to us, we're even able to bring up for public hearing. And I certainly anticipate that this year could be even more of a challenge. We're fortunate to have, in my estimation, two of, if not the two best LCO attorneys supporting us, but there is only so much that we can do and process. And so if you have concepts, if you have proposed bills, I highly encourage you to get those in sooner rather than later, and make sure you're reaching out to the chairs and the ranking members to discuss those, because we will have to prioritize sooner than later. Senator Winfield, anything I missed?
No, I think that's perfectly right in the ballpark.
Okay. I'd also like to just turn briefly to kind of Zoom and committee etiquette, a few announcements that our staff has asked us to emphasize, and that's that we try to log in to events early to ensure there's no connectivity issues, and staff has time to admit and rename folks. If you can, if the meeting starts at 10, if we could try to log in 5 or 10 minutes before that, it would be helpful, because we do want to try to get started on time. All of our virtual events are being recorded by Zoom, CTN, and YouTube. I know, for example, our public hearing today will be live on CTN. Only recognizable names and phone numbers will be admitted to the meeting and public hearing. So make sure you are signed in with your CGA computers appropriately in order to be admitted in a timely fashion to our meetings and public hearings. All participants will be muted until they are required to speak. If you'd like to ask a question during the public hearing process, you can use the raise your hand function on Zoom, and Senator Winfield or I will call on folks
based on that tool. The chat feature, both public and private, will be disabled for our meetings due to viewing and FOIA concerns. So again, the best way to get our attention is to use the raise your hand function. And voting, the administrator and the clerk must visibly identify the member who is voting. So when we do roll call votes, you will have to have your camera turned on. Some of you may, as we had kind of over the summer when we did this, there's a little bit of a delay in your face showing up on the recording. So we've asked folks that rather than just saying "I," it's Representative Staffstrom and I vote in the affirmative, so that there's a little bit of time for the video to catch up with who is actually speaking and show your face. So that way, if you state your name and your vote, it should work. Senator Winfield, anything?
Nope, we'll keep moving.
Right. Senator Kissel, Representative Fishbein, anything on Outlook or Zoom that we haven't covered?
No, I forgot to give a shout out to Deb Blanchard. She's great administrator, and all our staff and Zoe. So I just want to commend them for all their hard work. And I know they're going to be working, with this whole Zoom environment, it's going to be twice as hard to coordinate everything. And I just want to compliment them for their diligence. That's all.
Okay.
Good. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So with that, we are going to adjourn this organizational meeting and allow folks a couple minutes to log in for our 10 o'clock start on our public hearing. We look forward to seeing you at the public hearing in 5 minutes. Thanks, everybody.